So obviously everyone's heard about George Floyd by now. Duh. It was all over the news. And it's now August 2020, and there's still protests going on in several places. So racism is alive and well in America. It's been like this for, forever. And there's some people who deny this, and usually the people who deny this are really ignorant, who don't know anything else. They just have no concept of what it's actually like. But so George Floyd was something that's very, very overt. It's something that, it's very obvious. You can see it. But there are plenty of things that happen where it's not as obvious. And, it's hard to explain it because, I've experienced it myself. And let me just say that I am not a black man. I'm not a black woman either. I'm not white. I'm a very nice, healthy shade of brown. But so I've experienced it in my life, and I'm not even black, so I can't imagine how much worse it is for black people. And I have seen it happen in my life, and it pisses me off beyond belief. So when I was a kid, I was always told that cops are good people. If you ever get lost or need help, go to the police, they'll help you, blah, blah, blah. Well, when I was a kid, I also started to get harassed by them. I remember the very first time I was harassed by, it was either security or police, I can't remember, but it was at the airport. And it was in Heathrow, which is in England. Heathrow Airport. I was 10 years old. A 10-year-old girl, okay? I posed no threat to anybody. And I was literally harassed by this fucking asshole. I'm sorry, I hate to curse, but there are some times where I just really just cannot control myself, because to call him a jerk is not good enough. So just know that every single time I call somebody a jerk in this video, what I really mean is fucking asshole, and I hope he burns in hell. That's really what I mean. But so I absolutely hate cops over the years, because when I was a kid, I was told they were good people. But as I got older and I had all these really, really nasty experiences with them, I realized that cops are not very nice people. And I really hate them now. I despise them. I hate them. I loathe them. And that being said, I will also say that I do understand they have a tough job. I get it. They don't have a very nice job. It's an unpleasant job. I get it. But, like, they really need to know how to handle the population better than they do. So I was 10 years old, and we were in Heathrow Airport, and I had gotten a little bit separated from my mother, so I was trying to, carry a heavy bag, and I was trying to catch up to her. So I was kind of walking fast and jogging, trying to get caught up to her. 10-year-old girl. And out of nowhere, someone grabbed me, like something grabbed me and pulled me back, like jerked me back. I had no idea what had happened. And it turned out to be, I think, the airport security or airport police, whatever they had back in the time. And it was a white man, and of course, white man, blue eyes, and he had grabbed my arm. It was my left arm. I remember this because it hurt so bad. He grabbed my arm and he yanked me backwards. Like I was a 10-year-old girl. And this asshole, this fucking asshole, what a jackass, what a jerk. And he, started questioning me and like interrogating me, and I kept trying to tell him I'm trying to catch my mother. He's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Where are your parents? Where are your parents? What are you doing here? What are you doing?" And I kept telling him I'm trying to catch up my mother, and I kept pointing to her, and I'm telling, and she wasn't paying attention to me. She had walked forward, and I kept pointing to her and explaining, and he just kept yanking me and shaking me back and forth and asking me the same questions. "Where's your parents? Where are your parents? What are you doing here? What are you doing here?" And I kept trying to tell him over and over the same thing, and he wouldn't listen. He just kept shaking me, and really hard. My left arm really hurt. And after a while, I just stopped talking because the guy was like not listening to me, right? Also, just to give you a time frame, this was in 1990. So a full 30 years ago, 1990. And back then, they were still harassing people, right? And of course, England is, they're a very racist country, just like America is. So, anyway, that was my first experience with full-blown racism. I just didn't know what it was. I had no idea why he had singled me out like that. I had no idea why he had treated me like that. I just had no idea what was going on. And but I was so angry. But that was my first experience with it. I was a 10-year-old girl. And after that, things just kept getting worse. So we moved to the US, and I started to have experiences like this. And it wasn't always with cops, right? It wasn't always with security. It was actually even with other people, and I didn't realize what was happening. But one of my more recent experiences was just a couple of years ago. It was in 2017. So at this point, I'm in my late 30s, and I was walking with my daughter. And my daughter was very young. She was less than a year old. She might have been about 8 months, 9 months, 10 months. Very young. And we had just moved into a new neighborhood. And this neighborhood, it's full of white people mostly, right? Old, retired, mostly white neighborhood. And one of the things that I actually did not like about was that they have cops. They have cops that drive around the neighborhood on certain days and certain times to make sure nothing's going on in there. And when I heard that, I was very annoyed because I knew, you know what, I'm probably going to have a problem. Someone's probably going to, something's probably going to happen. And, but I was like, no, you're just being paranoid. You're just being paranoid. Just because you've had bad experiences doesn't mean you're going to have a bad experience now. But, of course, we had just moved in. We had been living there just for a few months, and I had taken my daughter for a walk in her stroller. So she was in her stroller, and I was just pushing her up and down the sidewalk. And we saw some pretty flowers. So I stopped. We're on the sidewalk, and there was this like bush. For anybody who knows, it's a Texas Ranger. It was a Texas Ranger bush, and it had those really pretty purple flowers on there. And so I just wanted to show her the flowers, and that's all we did. I stopped on the sidewalk right next to this bush with the purple flowers, and I was showing her the flowers. And lo and behold, what happens? Fucking cop, right? The cop car shows up. And he was up a little bit, and I just happened to notice the cop car just kind of out of the side of my vision. And then I just sort of noticed that he stopped, and he was going to make a right turn. And then he saw me down the street. Do you know what this asshole did? He immediately turned, and he made a U-turn. He made a U-turn in the middle of the road, and he raced towards me as if I was doing something wrong. And he raced towards me, and I knew this because I looked up, and the asshole, white guy, of course, right? White cop, probably in his 20s or 30s, he rushed towards me, glaring at me as if I had done something wrong. All I was doing was standing on the sidewalk in my neighborhood, where my stupid HOA fee pays for this stupid asshole to monitor the neighborhood, and he rushed towards me. With me and my baby in a stroller, we're just standing there doing absolutely nothing. And as he came towards me, and he was glaring at me the entire time. He slowed down, like I was going to do something, and he was staring at me the entire time. And I looked away from him because I was ready to start screaming and, flick him off and everything, because I knew exactly what had happened. He had profiled me based on the way I look, which is bizarre because if you think about it, now you've got a woman in her late 30s with a baby in a stroller, just taking a walk and just looking at flowers. And he profiled me based on that. I mean, what's suspicious about that? What is suspicious about a woman taking her baby for a walk in the stroller looking at flowers? Like, what is suspicious about that? I had no guns. I had no knives. I had nothing on me. I literally was just pushing my baby in the stroller looking at flowers. And apparently that's suspicious behavior. I will tell you that, like I said, I live in a mostly white neighborhood, mostly older people, mostly retired. I am not white. I am brown with black hair. My baby looks like me. And this asshole profiled me based on the way I looked. And, literally made a U-turn in the middle of the road and rushed towards me, glaring at me as if I was up to no good. So, I just looked away from him because I was so angry because I knew what had happened. He had profiled me and racially profiled me, which is discrimination, by the way. When you look at somebody and judge them based on the color of their skin, that is discrimination. And you are absolutely discriminating when you profile somebody like that. And I looked away, and he drove past me very, very slowly, staring at me the entire time. It's like he couldn't decide if he should stop and, get out of the car and question me, or, like you could tell that he thought I was up to no good, which is crazy. Like, it's absolutely crazy that a mother cannot just take her child for a walk outside without being treated like she's up to no good. And the thing that really makes me angry is that I had seen one person in the neighborhood ever get pulled over, and it was a black boy on a skateboard. It was a black kid. He must have been maybe about 12 to 15. 12 to 15 years old, a black kid on a skateboard had been pulled over, and like, I think he had actually been put in handcuffs in my neighborhood. And just so you know, there's a boy, another boy, and he's a little bit older, maybe 19, 20, who skateboards in our neighborhood all the time. I've never seen him get pulled over. And just so you know, I never saw that black boy again. Now, does he live in this neighborhood or not? I don't know. Did he, just come into the neighborhood to skateboard? I don't know. It's a gated community. Did he jump the gates to get in? I have no idea. He's the only person I have ever seen get arrested in our neighborhood. A black kid. I mean, like I said, maybe 12 to 15. Not a very old kid. And he actually was sitting on the curb with his hands behind his back. So I think that they had actually put handcuffs on him. But that other kid, the white, blonde, blue-eyed kid who skateboards up and down the road, I've never seen anybody harass him. So, it does happen. And it's annoying as hell. And those stupid white people who are like, I've never had any problems. Well, yeah, no kidding. I have actually had white people say that to me. Oh, I've never had any problems. No kidding. Like, you're white, blonde, and blue-eyed. Why would you have a problem with this? So what happened to George Floyd is something that's obvious and it's overt. But it does happen more than that. And, like, the only reason people know is because it was caught on video, and the video went viral and all over the world. Everybody saw it. So that kind of stuff is overt. It's obvious. But there are plenty of things that happen out there that are less obvious, and it's really hard for somebody like me, it's really hard for someone like me to win, because somebody like me is immediately guilty. Even if I've done nothing wrong, I'm immediately guilty just because I exist, even though I've done nothing wrong. Like, for example, taking my kid for a walk, I'm guilty because I was looking at flowers. I've done something wrong. Like, I mean, what did this moron think I was going to do? Rob a house with a stroller and a baby in a stroller? Like, what did this idiot think I was going to do? But, then, like, black boy skateboarding is guilty, but a white boy skateboarding doesn't even get noticed, right? So for somebody like me, have to prove our innocence. But for someone who is different, like white, they don't have to prove their innocence, because they're innocent until proven guilty, and everybody else is guilty until proven innocent. My point, though, is that I'm not even black. I'm not even a black person. And it's actually worse when you're black, right? You get profiled even more. So just another story, and just to show how much of this racism is ingrained in us. One day I was driving, and I saw this black guy. He looked like a grandfather, right? Black guy, he probably in his 60s. And, he had black and gray hair, right? Black and silver. And he was going to the bus stop to wait for the public bus. And he was with a boy who was probably about 3 years old, maybe 3 or 4 years old. The boy was white and blonde. And it was so weird to see a black man in his 60s with a young 3-year-old boy who was white and blonde. I mean, it was so weird that even I noticed it, and I was like, oh, that looks kind of suspicious, right? And then I immediately chastised myself. Oh my gosh, don't think like that, because the boy wasn't crying, the boy wasn't trying to run away, the boy was just like with this guy, the boy wasn't scared. But even I had that thought. Oh my god, that looks so weird. Did that man kidnap the boy or something? It's like, even I had that thought. And I was like, you know what? The boy seems fine. The man's not trying to hide him. Everything seems fine. So I drove down past that, did my errand. On the way back, seriously, it was like 5 or 10 minutes. Could not have been more than 10 minutes. Guess what I see? At the same bus stop, all of a sudden, a cop car has pulled off the road onto the curb, and like both cops are out of the cop car questioning this black man who just happens to be with a white blonde kid. And these cops were talking to him at this bus stop. Why do you think these cops stopped this black man? I mean, really, think about it. And now, how often do white people with black kids get stopped and questioned? I mean, think about that. When you see a white person with a black child, no one even blinks, right? You're just like, oh, they adopted the kid, good for him. But when you see a black guy with a blonde kid, you immediately think, oh, he kidnapped the kid, and he gets stopped by the cops. So again, it was broad daylight when this happened. They were at a public bus stop. There were other people there at the bus stop. It wasn't like the guy was with the kid alone. The boy wasn't crying. He seemed perfectly content, seemed perfectly happy. But guess what? The cops still stopped and they questioned this black man. And I know the first time I saw him, and when I came back, like I said, I went down the street to do my errand, was coming back up the street. It had been less than 10 minutes or less. And the cops had stopped there and pulled off the road and were questioning this man. So, just so you know, like this kind of stuff does happen. It happens a lot. It happens, I mean, America really is, it's a racist country. It happens a lot. And it pisses me off beyond belief. And what else pisses me off is all these basically stupid, ignorant people who think it's not real, who think it doesn't exist. It makes me really angry. So I just gave only 2 examples from my personal life. The first time that I vividly remember from when I was 10 years old, and one of the ones from later on when I was in my late 30s, walking in my own neighborhood, doing nothing wrong. And that's just me. And I'm, just so you know, I'm about 5'3" and 130 pounds. I'm not a very big person. And this is how I get treated. And, I'm educated. I am not a crazy person, but, this is how I get treated. I get profiled. It pisses me off. And I am treated like I am some kind of a criminal, even though I've done nothing wrong. I'm just taking a walk. So this kind of stuff happens a lot. And it is infuriating. And what's really difficult is that if somebody like me does try to support myself and defend myself, then I am treated as a threat. And, the situation escalates and I can be arrested for trying to defend myself. So this is the kind of crap that you have to put up with. You just do. And this is the kind of crap that happens. And it's really annoying. And I understand that cops have a tough job, but they are morons. Like 90% of the cops I have met personally, they're arrogant. They're morons. They're racist pigs. And they think they're hot stuff. They think they can do whatever they want. And I hate them. I hate them. Yeah, they need to learn that just because you are a darker skin color, it doesn't mean that you're immediately guilty, that you're immediately a criminal. I feel really bad about what happened to George Floyd. I saw the video. It was horrible. He was not resisting or anything. Some of the other videos of these black guys, like, they were resisting, but George Floyd wasn't resisting. The asshole cop just killed him. Anyway, I just wanted to say that American cops are racist assholes. But yeah, racism is part of America. It's alive and well, and it's not going away anytime soon. But I think it's important that people talk about it and just be aware that this kind of stuff does happen. All right, guys, thanks so much for listening. And if you want to hear more, feel free to subscribe. I talk about my life in America as an immigrant and what it was really like, and not the sugar-coated part, but what it's really like living in America as an immigrant. Yeah, if you guys would like to hear more personal stories, feel free to subscribe. Thanks so much.